The rain fell hard on the empty streets of downtown Portland. Lisa Martinez wiped down the counter at Tony's Diner for the third time that night. The clock on the wall showed 2:30 a.m., and the place was dead quiet except for the soft buzz of the old refrigerator. Lisa had been working the night shift at Tony's for 2 years now. She liked the quiet hours when most people were asleep. It gave her time to think and read between customers. Tonight was different, though. Something felt strange in the air, like the moment before lightning strikes. She looked out the big window. That faced the street. The neon sign flickered red and blue, casting weird shadows on the wet pavement. That's when she saw him sitting on the bench across the street. The man looked homeless. His clothes were old and torn, hanging loose on his tall, thin body. His hair was long and messy, and he sat perfectly still in the pouring rain. Most people would have run for cover by now, but this man just sat there like the water didn't bother him at all. What caught Lisa's attention were his eyes. Even from across the street, she could see they were bright gold, almost glowing in the dark. She had never seen eyes like that before. Danny, her coworker, came out from the kitchen carrying a fresh pot of coffee. He was a big guy with thick arms and a loud voice. He followed Lisa's gaze to the window. "Don't even think about it," Danny said, shaking his head. "That guy's been sitting there for 2 hours. He's bad news." "I can feel it." Lisa frowned. "What do you mean? Look at him. Something's not right about that dude. The way he sits, the way he stares. Gives me the creeps." Danny poured himself a cup of coffee. "Besides, we got rules about letting homeless people in here. Tony doesn't like it." Lisa kept watching the man. He hadn't moved at all. The rain was getting heavier, and she could see water dripping from his hair and clothes. He had to be freezing cold. "He's just sitting there getting soaked," she said. "Not our problem," Danny replied. "Trust me, Lisa. I've been working nights longer than you. You learn to spot trouble. That guy is trouble." Lisa couldn't explain why, but she felt drawn to help the stranger. Maybe it was because she had been homeless once too, sleeping in her car after her mom died and she couldn't pay rent. She remembered how it felt when people looked right through her like she didn't exist. The bell above the door rang as a late night customer came in. It was Pete, a taxi driver who stopped by for coffee during his breaks. Lisa served him and made small talk, but her eyes kept going back to the window. The strange man was still there, still not moving, still getting rained on. After Pete left, Lisa made a decision. She went to the kitchen and fixed a plate of food. Meatloaf with gravy, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a dinner roll. She added a cup of hot coffee and grabbed some napkins. "What are you doing?" Danny asked, watching her. "Just bringing him some food." "Lisa, don't. I'm telling you, that guy is bad news. Something about him makes my skin crawl." She looked at Danny. He was usually pretty brave, but now he looked actually scared. Still, Lisa couldn't just watch someone sit in the rain all night. "It's just food, Danny. He looks hungry." She grabbed an umbrella and headed for the door. Danny called after her, but she was already outside. The rain hit her face as she crossed the street. The man didn't look up when she approached. Up close, she could see he was even stranger than she thought. His skin was pale, almost gray, and he had high cheekbones that made his face look sharp. His clothes were old, but they seemed to be made of good material, like they had been expensive once. "Excuse me," Lisa said softly. The man slowly turned his head to look at her. His golden eyes met hers, and Lisa felt a little shock go through her body. Those eyes were ancient, like they had seen things that happened long before she was born. "Hello," the man said. His voice was deep and careful, like he was choosing each word with great care. "I brought you some food," Lisa said, holding out the plate. "And coffee. You must be cold sitting out here." The man stared at the plate for a long moment. Then he looked back at her face, and Lisa saw something she didn't expect. His eyes filled with tears. "You would give this to me?" he asked. "Of course. You look hungry. You do not know me. You do not know what I am." Lisa shrugged. "You're someone who needs help. That's all I need to know." The man took the plate with both hands, holding it like it was made of gold. "What is your name, kind one?" "Lisa. Lisa Martinez." "Lisa," he repeated, like he was memorizing it. "I am called Kazareth." It was an unusual name, but Lisa had heard stranger ones working at the diner. "Nice to meet you, Kazareth. Do you have somewhere dry to go tonight?" Kazareth shook his head. "I have been traveling for many days. This place is as good as any other. There's a shelter about 6 blocks from here. They might have a bed for you." "Thank you, but I prefer to remain here." Kazareth lifted a forkful of meatloaf to his mouth and ate it slowly. His eyes closed like he was tasting the most amazing food in the world. Lisa watched him eat for a moment. Something about the way he moved was different. Graceful, like a dancer, or maybe a fighter. And despite being homeless and soaked with rain, he sat up straight with perfect posture. "I should get back to work," Lisa said. "But if you need anything else, just let me know. The diner's open all night." "You have given me more than you know," Kazareth said. "This kindness will not be forgotten." There was something formal about the way he spoke, like English wasn't his first language. Lisa nodded and headed back across the street. Danny was waiting for her inside, looking worried. "You okay? That guy didn't try anything weird?" "He was fine, just hungry." Lisa dried off with a towel and went back to wiping down the counter. "I still don't like it," Danny muttered. Something about him made every alarm bell in my head go off. Lisa looked back out the window. Kazareth was eating slowly, making the food last. Between bites, he would look up at the diner and nod slightly. When he saw her watching, the rest of the night passed quietly. A few more customers came and went. Around dawn, Lisa looked outside again and saw that Kazareth was gone. The bench was empty except for something small sitting where he had been. When her shift ended at 7 a.m., Lisa went outside to check. On the bench was a small stone, no bigger than her thumb. It was smooth and dark, with tiny symbols carved into its surface. The symbols seemed to glow with a faint golden light, though that might have been the morning sun playing tricks on her eyes. The stone was warm to the touch, even though it had been sitting outside all night. Lisa picked it up and turned it over in her palm. It felt important somehow, like it meant something special. She thought about throwing it away, but something stopped her. Instead, she put it in her pocket and walked to her car. As she drove home, she could feel the stone's warmth against her leg. Lisa had no idea that her simple act of kindness had just changed everything. She didn't know that Kazareth was not what he seemed. She didn't know that, by accepting his gift, she had created a connection between two worlds. All she knew was that she had helped someone who needed help. In her mind, that was just being human. But tomorrow, she would learn that being human was more special than she ever imagined. Lisa Martinez drove home from her shift feeling more tired than usual. The strange encounter with Kazareth kept playing in her mind. She could still feel the warm stone in her pocket, pulsing gently like a tiny heartbeat. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old building downtown. The elevator was broken again, so she climbed the stairs slowly, her feet aching from standing all night. She fumbled with her keys at the door, yawning as she finally got it open. The first thing she noticed was the light. Her small living room was filled with swirling colors that moved like water. Blues and greens and purples danced in the air, creating patterns that hurt her eyes to look at directly. The light came from a huge circle that floated in the middle of her room, about 7 feet tall and spinning slowly. Lisa dropped her keys and purse. She stood frozen in the doorway, trying to understand what she was seeing. The circle looked like a window into somewhere else, but the view kept changing. One moment she saw a dark sky full of strange stars. The next moment she saw tall buildings made of what looked like crystal. "This isn't real," she whispered to herself. "I'm dreaming." I fell asleep in the car, but the stone in her pocket was getting warmer, almost hot now, and she could feel a breeze coming from the circle, carrying smells she had never experienced before. Sweet flowers mixed with something metallic and clean. Then someone stepped through the circle dot. It was Kazrith, but he looked completely different. Gone were the torn clothes and messy hair. Instead, he wore long robes that seemed to be made of starlight, changing colors as he moved. His skin was no longer pale gray, but had a slight shine to it, like polished metal. And his golden eyes were brighter than before, glowing like tiny suns. But the biggest change was his height. He was taller now, maybe 8 feet tall, and his body was more muscular. When he moved, Lisa could see scales on his arms and neck, dark green with edges of gold. "Hello, Lisa Martinez," Kazrith said in his careful voice. "I have come to thank you." Lisa's mouth opened, but no words came out. She backed against the wall, her heart beating so fast she thought it might burst. "Do not fear me," Kazrith said, raising his hands. "I mean you no harm. Quite the opposite, in fact. What are you?" Lisa managed to ask. "I am what your people call a dragon. My full name is Lord Kazrith the Eternal, ambassador of the dragon realm of Phalarix." He gestured to the spinning circle. "That is a portal to my world." Lisa slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. "Dragons aren't real. We are very real. We simply do not often visit your world in our true forms." Kazrith knelt down so he was closer to her level. "What you saw last night was a disguise. I can make myself appear as a human when needed. Why were you pretending to be homeless?" Kazrith was quiet for a moment, like he was choosing his words carefully. "My people sent me to study your world. We wanted to understand what humans are truly like. So I took the form of someone in need and waited to see how your kind would react." "That's horrible," Lisa said, anger replacing some of her fear. "You tricked people." "Yes, and I am not proud of it. But it was the only way to see your true nature." Kazrith's golden eyes looked sad. "For 3 months, I sat in different cities. I appeared as a hungry person, a lost person, a person who needed help. And in all that time, do you know how many humans showed me kindness?" Lisa shook her head. "One, only one." He looked directly at her. "You? That can't be true. People help each other all the time. Some people gave me money, but only when others were watching. Some people called police to make me go away. Most people pretended they could not see me at all." Kazrith touched the stone in Lisa's pocket through her pants. "But you brought me food and asked nothing in return. You treated me like a person who mattered." The stone was glowing now, bright enough that Lisa could see the light through her pocket. "What is this thing you gave me?" "It is called a heart stone. It creates a bond between 2 souls across any distance." Kazrith smiled, and Lisa saw that his teeth were sharp like a shark's. "When you accepted it, you created a bridge between our worlds. That is why the portal could open here." Lisa pulled the stone out of her pocket. It was warm and bright, and the carved symbols were definitely glowing now. "I don't understand any of this." "You do not need to understand it all at once," Kazrith said gently. "But I must ask you to come with me. My people need to meet you." "Your people?" "The Dragon Council. They are the leaders of my realm, and they have been waiting to meet the human who showed kindness to a stranger." Kazrith stood up and offered his hand. "Will you come?" Lisa looked at his hand. The scales were beautiful, catching the light from the portal, but she was scared. What if I can't come back? You can return whenever you wish. The portal will remain open as long as you carry the heart stone. What about my job? My life here? Time moves differently in my realm. You could spend days there and return to find only minutes have passed here. Lisa thought about her small apartment, her job at the diner, her quiet life. It wasn't much, but it was hers. On the other hand, this was the most amazing thing that had ever happened to her. How could she say no? She took Kazareth's hand. His skin was warm and smooth, and she could feel great strength in his grip. Okay, but if this is some kind of trick— It is not a trick. I give you my word as a lord of Thalarix. Together, they walked toward the portal. Up close, Lisa could see that it wasn't just a circle of light. It was like looking through water, with shapes and colors shifting constantly. She could smell that strange sweet and metallic scent more strongly now. Just step through, Kazareth said. It will feel strange for a moment, but it will not hurt. Lisa took a deep breath and stepped into the light. The world exploded into color and sound. She felt like she was falling and flying at the same time. Her body felt light as air, then heavy as stone. Colors she had no names for flashed past her eyes. She heard music that seemed to come from inside her own head. Then suddenly she was standing on solid ground again. The first thing she noticed was the sky. It was purple, with 3 moons hanging in it like glowing pearls. The air was warm and sweet, filled with the sound of distant music and voices. She was standing on a platform made of white stone that seemed to glow with its own light. Around her were buildings that looked like they were grown rather than built. They twisted and curved like living things, reaching toward the strange sky. And everywhere she looked, there were dragons. Some were in human-like forms, like Kazareth, walking on 2 legs and wearing clothes. Others were in their true dragon shapes, with wings and long necks and scales that caught the light. They were all colors: red, blue, green, gold, silver, and some colors that Lisa had never seen before. "Welcome to Thalarix," Kazareth said. "Welcome to the Dragon Realm." Lisa turned in a slow circle, trying to take it all in. The buildings, the dragons, the purple sky with its 3 moons. It was like being inside a dream, but more real than any dream she had ever had. "This is impossible," she whispered. "Your world believes many things are impossible that are quite real," Kazareth said. "But come. The council is waiting to meet you." He led her across the platform toward a huge building that looked like it was made of crystal and starlight. Other dragons stopped to stare at her as they passed. Lisa could hear them talking in voices that sounded like wind chimes and distant thunder. She was the only human in a world of dragons, and somehow that felt exactly right. The crystal building was even more amazing inside than it was outside. The walls seemed to be made of living light that moved and changed colors as Lisa walked past. The floor felt soft under her feet, like walking on clouds, but it was solid and real. Kazareth led her through long halls filled with floating lights that followed them like curious pets. Other dragons watched from doorways and balconies, their golden eyes tracking Lisa's every move. She could hear them whispering in voices. That sounded like music. "They have never seen a human before," Kazareth explained. "You are the first of your kind to visit our realm." "That's a lot of pressure," Lisa said, trying not to stare back at the dragons they passed. "You do not need to do anything special. Just be yourself. That is why you are here." They came to a huge door made of what looked like frozen starlight. It was at least 20 feet tall and covered in symbols that glowed and moved like living things. When they approached, the door opened by itself with a sound like wind chimes. Beyond the door was the biggest room Lisa had ever seen. The ceiling was so high she couldn't see it in the dim light. The walls curved away into shadows, making the room feel endless. In the center was a circle of 12 huge stone chairs, each one different from the others. Sitting in 11 of the chairs were the largest dragons Lissa had seen yet. These were in their true forms, massive creatures with wings folded behind them and long necks that curved gracefully. Their scales caught the light and threw it back in rainbow patterns. Some had horns, others had feathers mixed with their scales. One had what looked like small stars embedded in its dark blue skin. The dragon in the center chair was the most impressive of all. Its scales were pure silver, and its eyes were like looking into deep space filled with stars. When it spoke, its voice filled the entire room. "Welcome, Lisa Martinez of Earth," the silver dragon said. "I am Elder Zareth the Timeless, speaker for the High Dragon Council of Thalarix." Lisa felt very small standing in front of these ancient, powerful beings. She tried to speak, but her voice came out as a squeak. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Thank you for having me," she said, "though I'm not sure why I'm here." Elder Zareth's huge head tilted to one side. "You are here because you have shown us something we thought might not exist among your people." "What's that?" "True compassion for a stranger." A dragon with bright red scales and golden horns leaned forward. "I am Counselor Virith the Bold. Tell me, human, why did you help Kazrith when he appeared as a homeless person?" Lisa thought about it. He looked hungry and cold. "I had food and warmth to share. It seemed like the right thing to do." "But you gained nothing from helping him," said a dragon with green scales that shifted like water. "He could not pay you. He could not help you in return. Why waste your resources?" "It wasn't a waste," Lisa said, feeling a bit defensive. "People aren't resources to be used. They're just people. If someone needs help and you can help them, you should." The dragons looked at each other. Lisa couldn't read their expressions, but she could feel something passing between them, like a silent conversation. Elder Zareth spoke again. "For the past 500 years, we have been searching for a species worthy of joining the Galactic Alliance." "The what?" "A group of advanced civilizations that work together across the stars," Kesroth explained. "They share knowledge, protect each other, and explore the universe as friends instead of enemies." "There are 47 different species in the Alliance," said a dragon with purple scales and silver eyes. "I am Counselor Nethys the Wise. Each species was chosen for their special gifts. The Zelthari are masters of technology. The Vorthok are incredible warriors. The Melody can heal any injury with their songs." "What's your gift?" Lisa asked the dragons. "We are guardians of ancient knowledge," Elder Zareth said. "We remember the history of the galaxy and keep its secrets safe. But we have been looking for a species with a different kind of gift." "What kind?" "The gift of caring for others without caring what you get back," said Counselor Virith. "The gift of seeing someone different from you and treating them with kindness anyway." Lisa frowned. "Don't all smart species do that?" The dragons made sounds that might have been laughter, but they sounded like wind blowing through caves. "No, little human," said Counselor Nethys. "Most species care only for their own kind. They help others only when it benefits them. Some species are so focused on power that they cannot imagine helping someone weaker than themselves. Even we dragons have this problem," Elder Zareth admitted. "We are proud beings. It is hard for us to show kindness to those we see as beneath us. That is why Kazrith's mission was so important." Kazrith stepped forward. "I spent 3 months on Earth, testing your people. I appeared as someone weak and needy in dozens of cities. Most humans ignored me or tried to make me go away. A few gave me money, but only when others were watching, to look good. But you helped me," Lisa said. "You were the only one who treated me like a person who mattered. You brought me good food, you spoke to me with respect, and you asked for nothing in return." Kazrith's golden eyes were bright with emotion. You showed me that at least some humans have the gift we have been searching for. A dragon with black scales and silver markings spoke for the first time. I am Counselor Thane, the Doubtful. One human showing kindness does not prove that all humans have this gift. Perhaps this Lisa is unusual among her people. That's exactly what we need to find out, Elder Zareth said. He looked directly at Lisa. We have a proposal for you, Lisa Martinez. What kind of proposal? We want to test whether your compassion is shared by other humans. If it is, we will sponsor your species for membership in the Galactic Alliance. Earth would become part of a community that spans the stars. Lisa felt dizzy. You're talking about first contact with aliens. About changing the whole world. Yes, Elder Zareth said simply. But what if we fail your test? What if humans aren't as good as you hope? Then nothing changes. Your world continues as it is, and we continue searching for the species we seek. What would the test involve? Counselor, Nethys answered. We would create situations where humans could show kindness to beings they have never seen before. We would appear in different forms, in different places, and see how your people react. Some might be scared, Lisa warned. Humans can be afraid of things they don't understand. Fear is natural, said Counselor Virith. What matters is what humans do with their fear. Do they let it turn to hate, or do they find courage to help anyway? Lisa thought about her coworker Danny, who had been afraid of Kazrith, but hadn't tried to hurt him. She thought about all the people she knew who gave money to charity, who volunteered at shelters, who stopped to help strangers on the road. But she also thought about the news, full of stories about people hurting each other over differences in skin color, or religion, or nationality. Humans aren't perfect, she said quietly. We do bad things sometimes. We hurt each other. We can be selfish and cruel. All species have darkness in them, Elder Zareth said. What matters is whether they also have light, whether they can choose to be better than their worst impulses. So what happens now? Now you must decide, Elder Zareth said. Will you help us test your species? Will you be our guide to understanding humanity? Lisa looked around at the circle of ancient, powerful dragons. A few hours ago, she had been wiping down tables at a diner. Now she was being asked to help decide the future of the human race. The responsibility felt too big for her shoulders. But then she thought about the moment when she had decided to bring food to a stranger in the rain. That had felt too big too, in its own small way. If I say yes, what exactly would I have to do? Help us create the tests, Kazrith said. Show us how to approach humans in ways that will reveal their true nature. Be our voice when we need to understand what we see. And if humans pass your tests, then your world joins the Alliance, Elder Zareth said. Humans would have access to technologies that could solve your greatest problems. Hunger, disease, war, all could become things of the past. Lisa took a deep breath. And if we fail, then we leave your world in peace and continue our search elsewhere. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of dragon breathing. Lisa could feel the weight of their ancient eyes on her, waiting for her answer. She thought about Tony's diner, about all the people who came there looking for warmth and food and a friendly face. She thought about her neighbors, her friends, all the ordinary humans living ordinary lives. Maybe they deserved a chance to be part of something bigger. Maybe they deserved a chance to prove they were worth knowing. Okay, Lisa said. I'll help you test humanity. The dragons made that wind through caves. Sound again, and Lisa realized they were cheering. The next few days passed like a strange dream. Lisa found herself living in a guest room inside the Crystal Palace, working with Kazrith and the Dragon Council to plan the tests that would decide humanity's future. The room they gave her was beautiful, but simple. The walls showed pictures of Earth that changed throughout the day. Sunrise over mountains, waves crashing on beaches, forests full of green trees. It made her feel less homesick, though she missed the familiar sounds of her own world. The first test should be refugees, Lisa suggested during one of their planning meetings. People who look different and need help. Elder Zareth nodded his great silver head. Explain this to us. Throughout history, humans have been forced to leave their homes because of wars or disasters. When they arrive in new places, they depend on strangers for help. It's a good test because it shows if people will help someone who can't help them back. Counselor Nethys tilted her purple head. But these refugees would be dragons in disguise? Yes, but you'd need to be careful about how you look. Not too scary, but not too human either. People need to see you as different, but not dangerous. Kazrath was taking notes on a tablet made of crystal. What forms would be best? Lisa thought about it. Maybe like humans, but with small differences. Different colored skin, or eyes that are a little too bright. Strange clothes. Speak English, but with an accent people don't recognize. And where should we appear? Big cities first. Places where people are used to seeing different kinds of people. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, then smaller towns. Over the next week, the dragons put Lisa's plan into action. Using their shape-changing abilities, they appeared in cities across Earth as refugees from a made-up country called Valdris. They told people that their homeland had been destroyed by earthquakes, and they had nowhere else to go. Lisa watched it all through magical viewing screens that showed her what was happening in real time. The first results made her heart race. With Worry Dot in New York, a dragon disguised as a woman with silver hair and bright blue eyes stood outside a subway station, holding a sign that said, "Please help, lost everything." For the first hour, people walked past her without stopping. Lisa started to panic Dot, but then a young man in a business suit stopped. He talked to the dragon woman for a few minutes, then made a phone call. Within an hour, a team from a local refugee organization arrived with food, blankets, and information about temporary housing. The young man called a charity, Kazrath explained as they watched. He said he didn't have much money himself, but he knew people who could help. Similar scenes played out across the country. In Los Angeles, a dragon disguised as an elderly man with pale green skin found himself surrounded by volunteers from 3 different churches, all trying to help him find his missing family. In Chicago, a dragon appearing as a young girl with golden eyes was taken in by a family who had never seen anyone like her before. They're not just giving money, Lisa said, watching the screens with growing excitement. They're giving time, attention, care. Look at that woman in Denver. She's teaching that dragon how to use the bus system. But not every encounter was positive. In some places, people were suspicious or afraid. A few dragons were turned away from shelters or told to go back where they came from. Lisa felt sick watching those scenes. Some humans are failing the test, Counselor Thane observed. But look at the numbers, Lisa pointed out. For every person who turns them away, there are 5 who want to help. And even in the places where some people are mean, there are always others who stand up for the refugees. Elder Zareth studied the screens carefully. This is promising, but we need a harder test. Something that requires more courage. What did you have in mind? Lisa asked. A disaster scenario. Dragons in distress, needing rescue. Lisa's stomach nodded. That's more dangerous. What if someone gets hurt? We will be very careful, Kazarth promised. But we need to see if humans will risk themselves for complete strangers. The second test was harder to watch. Dragons created fake emergencies across the world. Building collapses, car accidents, people trapped in flooding. But they made sure to appear as beings that humans had never seen before, with scales or wings or other features that made them clearly non-human. In Seattle, A dragon with blue scales and small wings appeared trapped under a fallen tree during a storm. Lisa held her breath as she watched people run toward the scene instead of away from it. A construction worker named Ben cut through the tree with a chainsaw while his partner lifted the heavy branch. A nurse named Kate checked the dragon's injuries and called for an ambulance. They didn't even hesitate, Lisa whispered, tears in. Her eyes dot in Miami. A dragon with green scales and fins appeared to be drowning near a beach. Lifeguards and regular swimmers jumped into dangerous waves to pull the strange creature to safety. When they got the dragon to shore, a crowd gathered to help, even though no one knew what it was. Look at this, Kazrith said, pointing to a screen showing footage from Phoenix. A dragon with red scales and horns was trapped in a car that had flipped over. Instead of running away from the scary-looking creature, a group of teenagers worked together to turn the car right side up and pull the dragon free. The most amazing scene came from a small town in Ohio. A dragon had appeared as a winged creature stuck in a tree during a lightning storm. The local fire department came out with their ladder truck, but the dragon was too high up, and the ladder was too short. Lisa watched as more and more people showed up, teachers, shop owners, parents with children, farmers from outside town. They formed human chains to pass up ropes and blankets. An old man who ran the hardware store brought every ladder he had. A woman who taught at the elementary school kept everyone organized. There have to be 200 people there, Lisa said, in a town of maybe 5,000. And they are all working together to save a creature they have never seen before, Elder Zareth noted. This is remarkable. But the third test was the hardest of all. Elder Zareth had insisted on it, despite Lisa's protests. A dragon must appear in full dragon form, he said. Not disguised, not appearing as something else. A true dragon in distress, needing human help. People will be terrified, Lisa argued. Dragons are monsters in our stories. Which is exactly why this test matters, Counselor Virith said. Anyone can help someone who looks harmless. But helping someone who looks dangerous, that shows true courage and compassion. They chose Times Square in New York City for the final test. Kazroth would appear in his true dragon form, wounded and calling for help. Hidden cameras would record everything. Lisa watched the screen with her heart pounding as Kazroth materialized in the middle of the busy square. He was magnificent but frightening. 8 feet tall with dark green scales, golden eyes, and wings that spread wide behind him. He collapsed to the ground, crying out in pain. At first, people screamed and ran. Lisa closed her eyes, sure that the test was a disaster. But when she opened them again, she saw something that made her cry. A young woman in scrubs, probably a nurse getting off work, had stopped running. She was walking back toward Kazroth, pulling out her phone. Lisa could see her mouth moving as she talked to someone. She's calling for help, Lisa whispered. More people stopped running. A man in a police uniform approached carefully, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. A woman with a dog knelt down at a safe distance, talking to Kazroth in a soothing voice. Within minutes, the square was full of people who had come back to help. Veterinarians arrived with medical supplies. Animal control officers came with equipment to safely move large creatures. News crews showed up, but instead of sensationalizing the story, they helped keep the growing crowd organized. Look at them, Lisa said, pointing at the screen. They're scared, but they're helping anyway. An elderly man with a cane pushed through the crowd. When he reached Kazroth, he sat down on the ground and started talking to the dragon like he was comforting a frightened child. A group of teenagers formed a circle around Kazroth to give him space while the experts worked. I have seen enough, Elder Zareth said quietly. Call Kazroth home. Kazroth dissolved into light and reappeared. In the Crystal Palace, grinning widely. "Did you see? They were terrified of me, but they helped anyway. That old man, he reminded me of my own grandfather." The Dragon Council gathered in their great circle. Lisa stood in the center, waiting for their decision. She had watched humans at their best and worst over the past weeks. She had seen fear and courage, selfishness and kindness, all mixed together in the complex species she belonged to. "We have made our decision," Elder Zareth said. "Humanity has passed our tests." Lisa felt her knees go weak with relief. "Your species is not perfect," Counselor Nethys said, "but they have the gift we sought. They can see past fear to find compassion. They can choose to help even when it's hard." "Tomorrow," Elder Zareth announced, "we will contact the leaders of your world. Humanity will be invited to join the Galactic Alliance." Lisa thought about all the people she had watched over the past weeks. The nurse who ran toward a dragon, the construction worker who cut through a tree to save a stranger, the old man who comforted a creature he had never seen before. "They're going to change everything," she said. The morning of first contact, Lisa stood on a balcony in the Crystal Palace, looking out at the purple sky of Thalarix. In just a few hours, everything would change for humanity. The Dragon Council was preparing to contact Earth's leaders and announce that humans had been accepted into the Galactic Alliance. "Are you nervous?" Kazarth asked, joining her on the balcony. "Terrified," Lisa admitted. "What if the leaders don't believe you? What if they think it's a trick or an invasion?" "That is why you will speak to them first," Elder Zareth said, appearing. "Behind them, you will tell them what you have seen here. You will help them understand that we come as friends." Lisa turned to face the enormous silver dragon. "Me? I'm just a waitress from Portland. World leaders aren't going to listen to me." "You are the first human to visit another world," Elder Zareth said gently. "You are the bridge between our peoples. Your voice will carry more weight than you know." An hour later, Lisa found herself sitting in a room filled with screens showing the faces of presidents, prime ministers, and other leaders from around the world. The Dragon Council had contacted them all simultaneously, requesting an urgent meeting about humanity's future. "This is Lisa Martinez," Elder Zareth said to the assembled leaders. "She is a citizen of your world who has been living among us for the past month. She will explain what has happened." Lisa looked at all the serious faces on the screens. She recognized some of them from the news. They all looked confused and suspicious. "I know this sounds crazy," Lisa began, "but everything you're about to hear is true. A month ago, I was working at a diner in Portland when I met someone who needed help. I gave him food. That person was Kazarth, a dragon from another world, and my simple act of kindness opened a door between our worlds." For the next hour, Lisa told them everything. She explained about the Dragon Council's search for a compassionate species, about the tests humanity had undergone, and about the Galactic Alliance that existed among the stars. "You're saying that aliens have been testing us?" asked the President of the United States. "Yes, but not to hurt us. To see if we were ready to join a community of peaceful worlds." "And we passed these tests?" asked the Prime Minister of Canada. "You did more than pass them," Kazarth said, stepping into view of the cameras. Several leaders gasped at seeing a real dragon. "You showed us that humans have a gift that is rare in the galaxy, the ability to care for others, even when they are different from you. What exactly is this Galactic Alliance?" asked the President of France. Elder Zareth moved closer to the cameras. "It is a union of 47 different species from across the galaxy. We share knowledge, technology, and protection. Member worlds help each other solve problems and explore the universe together." "What would membership mean for Earth?" asked the Prime Minister of India. "Access to technologies that could end hunger, cure diseases, and provide clean energy for everyone," Counselor Nethys explained. But more importantly, you would become part of a larger community. You would never be alone in the universe again. The questions went on for hours. Some leaders were excited, others were worried. A few were openly suspicious. Lisa answered what she could, trying to help them understand that this was an opportunity, not a threat. There is one more thing, Elder Zareth said near the end of the meeting. Membership in the Alliance requires a human representative, someone who can speak for your world and help us understand your people. We would like Lisa Martinez to serve in this role. Me? Lisa squeaked, but I don't know anything about politics or diplomacy. You know about compassion, Kazrith said. That is the most important qualification. I would need to think about it, Lisa said. Of course, you have time to decide. After the meeting ended, Lisa walked back to her room in a daze. The leaders had agreed to consider the Alliance's offer, but she knew it would take time for them to make a final decision. Some countries would say yes immediately. Others would want to study every detail first. That night, Lisa sat by her window looking at Earth through a magical viewing screen. She could see the blue and green planets spinning slowly in space. So beautiful and small compared to the vast galaxy around it. Having second thoughts? Kazrith asked, settling beside her. I keep thinking about my old life, Lisa said. My job at the diner, my little apartment. It wasn't much, but it was mine. You could return to that life if you wanted. The portal will always be open to you. Lisa thought about Tony's diner, about serving coffee to tired people in the middle of the night. Then she thought about serving understanding between species across the galaxy. What would my job actually involve? She asked. You would travel to different worlds, helping species understand each other. Some worlds have problems with newcomers. Others have trouble working together. You would show them what you showed us, that differences don't have to mean division. Like being a waitress, but for aliens? Kazrith laughed, a sound like wind chimes. In a way, yes. Bringing people what they need, making them feel welcome. The next day, Lisa gave the Dragon Council her answer. I'll do it, but on one condition. What condition? Elder Zareth asked. I want to keep working at Tony's diner, too. Maybe just a few shifts a week. I don't want to lose touch with regular human life. An excellent idea, Counselor Nethys said. A representative should understand the people she represents. And so Lisa Martinez became Earth's first compassion ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. The portal in her apartment became a permanent gateway between worlds, allowing her to travel back and forth as needed. 3 months later, Lisa was back at Tony's diner for her Friday night shift, but the place looked very different now. The old booth by the window had been replaced with a larger table that could accommodate beings of different sizes. The menu now included dishes from 12 different worlds, and the customers were like nothing Portland had ever seen before. In one corner, a family of crystal beings from the world of Zeroth shared a meal with their human neighbors, their translucent skin glowing softly in the diner's light. At the counter, a pilot from the Galactic Alliance fleet, a tall being with blue skin and silver eyes, chatted with a local taxi driver about the weather. Tony himself had adapted surprisingly well, too. His new interdimensional clientele. He had learned to cook several alien dishes and had hired 2 new waitresses to help with the increased business. Order up, Tony called from the kitchen. 1 Thalarix flame soup and 2 human burgers. Lisa carried the order to a table where Kazrath sat with a young human couple who had just moved to Portland. They were asking him about dragon culture while he tried to explain the proper way to eat flame soup without burning your tongue. Here you go, Lisa said, setting down the plates. And Kazrath, the council meeting is in 2 hours. Don't forget. Thank you, Lisa. I will be there. Lisa looked around the diner at the impossible scene. Humans and aliens sharing food and conversation, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Outside the window, she could see ships from a dozen different worlds parked at the new spaceport that had been built just outside the city. Her phone buzzed with a message from Elder Zareth. Tomorrow she would be traveling to a world called Nexus Prime to help mediate a dispute between two species who couldn't agree on trading rights. Next week, she was scheduled to visit a planet where the local species was too shy to make contact with their new human neighbors. 6 months ago, Lisa had been a tired waitress serving coffee to strangers at 3 a.m. Now she was serving understanding between civilizations across the galaxy. But in many ways, the job was exactly the same, seeing what people needed and trying to help them get it. Danny, her old coworker, came out from the kitchen carrying a fresh pot of coffee. He had been skeptical about the whole alien thing at first, but now he was one of the diner's most popular servers among the off-world visitors. "Table 4 needs more coffee," he told Lisa. "And that dragon pilot at table 7 wants to know if we have any desserts that won't melt his tongue." "Tell him to try the ice cream," Lisa said, "and ask Tony to make extra portions. I think we're about to get busy." Through the window, she could see another ship landing at the spaceport. More visitors from the stars, coming to see the little diner where it all began. Coming to taste human food and human kindness. Lisa picked up the coffee pot and went to refill table 4's cups. Tomorrow she would be representing humanity at an interstellar conference. Tonight, she was just a waitress making sure everyone felt welcome. It was exactly where she belonged. As she poured coffee for a family of travelers from 3 different worlds. Lisa smiled. The best part about serving others, she had learned, was that it didn't matter if they were human or dragon or something she had never seen before. Everyone appreciated kindness. Everyone needed to feel like they mattered. And in a galaxy full of wonders, that simple truth was the most wonderful thing of all.